Welcome into the post-game grades from Mississippi State. If we did halves, this would be very interesting to grade, but we're grading the full game, obviously. Let's jump right into this. Quarterback Arch Manning, I'll start out. I'm going to give him a B+. I thought he's played a very solid football game. I actually think this might have been his best game overall from start to finish of the year. He's done a very good job, especially the past 3 weeks, of not throwing balls that could be intercepted. The one interception I don't really put on him. Now, should he have made the throw? That can be debated. But once the throw was made, it should have been caught by Parker Livingston. But I think overall, B+ game from Arch Manning. Josh, what do you have to say?
Yeah, I 100% agree. I'm going with the B+ as well. Inefficient in the first 3 quarters, but man, the fourth quarter, he dialed it in, made some big plays down the field. Look, you add on the 4 drops, maybe even 5 drops that happened in the game. You're looking at a 34-46 for possibly over 400 yards with 4 touchdowns, including the rushing touchdown. That interception to me was not his fault. I almost want to put him a little bit higher, but as an offense, the offense was bad through the first 3 quarters, and that does go a little bit on your quarterback for missing a couple throws here and there. But for the most part, man, I thought he had a really good game, and I agree with you. I think this is probably his best game of the season against a quality opponent.
Yeah, I'm with you there. It's hard for me to go. He was only 1 for 6 on deep balls, so there's still that asterisk. It's like a B-, I think, for me, because like you said, I think this has been Arch's best game of the year, not just statistically, but I think how he operated the offense. And I think Steve Sarkisian put him in better spots. I still don't like that many deep throws for him at this point, but they had a lot at the line of scrimmage. They had a lot within 5 or 7 yards of the line of scrimmage. I think he had one that he dirted, but outside of that, I don't really think he had too many of those bad balls that we've seen that plagued him, especially in the short game. And some of that's just him being able to. You don't need your fastball every time. Just throw a knuckleball every now and again. Throw something off speed so somebody can catch it. But overall, I think Arch played as well as we've seen it play all year.
I'm giving Arch an A, and I'm doing that because when we needed him to make big plays, he made big plays. He made some big time throws in critical moments when we needed touchdowns and conversions. It was time and time again that he converted. I actually didn't mind the deep balls because it in theory it backed the defense off. That 6'4" corner played those balls perfectly. If that guy's in 6'4", I think we complete a couple of those. But when you have 35-inch arms and you can run with Wingo, it's actually very impressive that he made those plays. But I actually like that we actually did attack downfield some and let him let it loose, because I think even though he went 1 for 6, when we needed third down conversions, 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9, and he was throwing out routes and corner routes, the coverage was a little softer, and it allowed for him to convert. And then also thought he just had some really impressive throws, even for the ones that to your point, Gerald, he threw a check down to Trey Wisner that was bro, you don't need to throw the ball this fast, this hard, all the time. But he had some nice layered throws as well. So, and I thought his ability to keep on ticking and keep playing through the face of pressure and adversity, because we've seen it since probably the Florida game. He takes some big shots and he just keeps on going, keeps on ticking.
Yeah, so the next one is running backs. And again, I don't even know how to grade this unit. I just don't. When they get holes, they hit them sometimes. Sometimes they miss. Wisner did fumble the one. So I'll give him a grade because of that. I think they have it was a C- game. I just think it was not a great game from the running backs overall. I do think Baxter, the good thing about him, if you watch him, every time he gets hit, he falls forward for extra yards. That's the one positive thing I will say about both backs combined. But Wisner overall, I don't know if he's 100% healthy, but again, if you're out there, I have to grade you. So I'm just going to give him a C-.
Yeah, I'll give him a D+. I thought they were pretty poor in pass coverage through the first 3 quarters. There's a couple of times where, how much of this you could put on them, how much you put on the line, how much you put on the quarterback for, helping them figure out the protection. But there was times where Baxter would go to the outside when he was supposed to be on the inside, and certain things like that. And that happened with Trey Wisner a few times. I thought they were pretty bad in that. They did do a better job in the fourth quarter when it mattered most. And in terms of running the football, they were running into a brick wall for most of it, but when there were lanes, I didn't feel like they did a whole lot special with them. There was a run play in particular where there was a cutback lane for Trey Wisner hit, but he just was kind of dancing around. And maybe being a little too patient and not hitting the hole properly. So I think there was a little bit more meat on the bone for these guys, and especially for Wisner. As for Baxter, I'm a bit, I'm not too hard on him because he is coming off a hamstring injury, but I felt like when he got the ball, most of the time it was a 2-yard carry. So, how much can you put on them? How much do you put on the line? I'm going to put a lot more on the line, but I still have to grade them. So I'm going to give them a D+.
Yeah, it's hard for me to be too upset. Like, we've talked about it before. It's hard for a running back to get in a rhythm when they don't have carries that are consistent. And Trey Wisner has shown that he is kind of a rhythm runner where he gets into a zone, he gets into a moment. And so, like, it's hard for me to be like super down on them because they didn't really have that opportunity. I don't know what it's going to take for Texas to kind of commit to the run. And maybe it's just because the offensive line is so bad. But like ultimately, it's probably like a C- E game for me. I think the pass pro stuff is my biggest knock on them because you're right. There were some spots where they should have taken an inside man and Arch took an unnecessary hit. But again, when they had the ball in their hands, they were okay.
Yeah, I'm with y'all. I probably go D+. Like I'm right on the verge of it's C- D+. Like you passed, but if it wasn't for the extra credit that I gave to the entire class, like you probably would have failed. So yeah, just to Josh's point, like I felt like they left a couple runs out there because they were either being too patient or they weren't very decisive. And to me, both of them still look banged up. Like they don't have a lot of juice behind them when they do have a clean lane. Like Trey Wisner looked better when he caught the ball out in space and he was able to dance a little bit, but just from getting it from standstill, I didn't see the same guy that was carrying the ball in space. So and then CJ Baxter, he didn't look bad, but he got better as the game went on, as his body got more acclimated to taking hits and just running, honestly. So I'm gonna give him a D+ because the pass pro stuff really bothered me, because those are plays that like they can make or break a game because they can lead to turnovers when guys miss blocks.
Next up, the offensive line. I'm not going to give them an F because I've seen worse from them and I'm grading them based on what I see from them. I'm going to give them a D though. I think it was pretty bad. Obviously 5 sacks, and there were just certain, like, we've max protected and they still were able to get pressure on us. We really only had success. Really, they got pushed when the defense was just flat out tired. When they were tired and had to be on the field, we started to get a little bit of push, but that's about it. But based on what I've seen this year, it's been worse. That Florida game was worse. Hell, the Kentucky game was worse. I think this is a D performance by this offensive line.
Well, in those bad games, I give him an F minus. Today, I'll give him just an F. I'll give him an F+. This was a better performance in the fourth to overtime quarters, but I mean, it's a 4-quarter game, and they did not show up at all in the first 3. And even in, you kind of talked about the fourth quarter, that defense was tired, and that really helped out this offensive line. I mean, look, 5 sacks to Mississippi State, 12 tackles for loss. I mean, it's been a consistent theme this year that Arch Manning in this game just gets, blasted play in and play out. It felt like every single play. And some of this, in my opinion, is on Sarkisian for having these really drawn out, pre-snap motions and things like that, or even, when the ball is snapped, just really delayed handoffs, things like that to, put more pressure on Arch. But even when there was, quick dropbacks, it was like pressure was immediately in his face. And it was just bad. I mean, yet again, Texas, despite having a really good game defensively with 9 tackles for loss, the opponent had more tackles for loss. So yeah, I'm going F+.
Mississippi State hasn't had a 5-sack game in the last 5 seasons. 2022 is the last time Mississippi State had 5 or more sacks. It's an F. They failed. Like, when Arch Manning takes that much damage, when Arch Manning gets hit that many times, that's a failure on the offensive line. Like, I wasn't a good offensive lineman, but I took it personally when our quarterback got hit. And I just don't know if these guys do. Like, their quarterback is getting bruised and beaten and battered, and they're not up to the task. And part of it is, I think, guys that shouldn't be in that position. Like there are guys whose feet are slow, whose eyes are bad, whose hands are bad. Like those things are that is an evaluation mistake. Like that should not be what we have at the University of Texas, but it's what we have, and they're not meeting the standard. Texas got stuffed 4 times. They only ran the ball with their running backs 21 times, and 4 or 5 of those got stuffed. Like that to me is inexcusable as an offensive line at the University of Texas who's making as much money as these dudes are making. It's just can't have it.
That part. Yeah, I'm going F. And it really boiled down to the inability to create movement when they knew you were running the ball. Like in the red zone, had Arch not thrown that touchdown to Parker Livingstone and we ran the ball a third time, one, we would have all had a conniption. 2, it just proves that like whatever this line is getting paid as a whole, they're not worth it at this moment because we could not move anyone. Like we could not like get anything going in the run game. And like this offense needs to run the football. Like we got away with it because at the moment of truth in the fourth quarter, we are more talented than them and we have a better quarterback and all the right things and key spots. But time and time again, this O-line is just letting us down. And to your point, Gerald, I know a lot of O-linemen who take the abuse of their quarterback personally, and like these guys, I just don't see it. I don't see nastiness and the eagerness to like get it done at a high level. And that's kind of frustrating to me because I think this offense can really be something if we had time or we had just a lane or two. Like we ran the ball 32 times for 72 yards, and the backs probably only had 50 of that, maybe. Like that's unacceptable on all accounts. So F for me.
See, I'm the teacher that when I give too many Fs, I feel bad and I just give a D. That's how I thought about this performance. So I gave him a D. Next up, let's go wide receivers and tight ends. And I'm just going to say, I'm going to split them up for the first time because I just feel like the tight ends were a no-show, did terrible. They're an F for me. That's an F. They did nothing. And everything they did was in negative. I mean, on the max protect with Jordan Washington, for you to get blown up in half a second and then that happens, I couldn't believe that happened. That was so bad. Wide receivers. There were a couple drops, obviously, mostly by Ryan Wingo. But overall, I think it was a very solid game. They got separation. The Parker Livingston catch was a hell of a catch. The Emmett Mosley catch was a hell of a catch. Both big touchdowns to keep us and win us this football game. I'm going to give them a solid B on this day. I think they were slightly worse than Arch Manning, but I think they were a B for me.
Yeah, I'll also exclude the tight ends in this grade because it would drop them down quite a bit. But when it just comes to receivers, look, the drops were massive. And I think they – killed a couple of drives where if you get that first down, maybe you get points in that drive and maybe the offense doesn't, go down 14 to 31 or whatever it was. So I got to lower their grade because those were game-changing drops, and one of them led to an interception. And Arch was putting the ball, for the most part, in a great location 90% of the time. And again, you just can't drop them. All of the Wingo drops were unacceptable in my opinion. So I'm going to go B- because, man, you take away the drops. This was an A+ performance for them. But then you got the drops, and those kill drives. And those things can't happen, especially when you have a quarterback that's up and down and an offense that's up and down. When you have these drops on plays where you can make big plays happen, you have to be able to get the ball and you have to be able to make plays. But they just didn't do it. So I'll go with the B. But, again, they got to fix the drop issue.
Yeah, I think I'll go, and I'm probably gonna be too harsh on this one. Like a C+. I don't know. There were guys that had good games. Like, right, it's weird to talk about Ryan Wingo in this game because he had almost 200 yards, but he probably would have had 250 if he didn't have those drops. And like, I can't stop thinking about the sequence where Texas is in a position to go up 14-0 if Ryan Wingo catches a quick slant and is able, because he's the fastest guy on the field. He's going to take that. He's going to house that, or at least get them in a scoring position. Instead, he drops it. Arch gets sacked on the next play. Mississippi State gets the ball back, goes back, ties the game, right? Like that, and that's where the game turned, in my opinion. Texas goes up 14-0 there. I'm able to relax for the rest of the evening. So like that to me, it doesn't stick out. Like that sticks out like a sore thumb. But we saw DeAndre Moore grow as a blocker. We saw DeAndre Moore grow as a playmaker. We saw Ryan Wingo grow in some ways as a playmaker. So it's hard for me to give them that bad of a grade, but when you have drops that lead to directly to the interception, Mississippi State tying the game, it's hard for me to give you anything better than a C.
Fair.
That's fair. I'm gonna give them a C plus, because they did have some critical drops. And to me, to both you guys' point, to everyone's point, that could have been a different game had we, just caught the ball in key moments, because all the drops came on like third down or like or a potential big play. Like the same way we talked about Arch making the layup as a receiver, you catching a slant, that's a layup. You should catch 99% of those. So I'm giving a C plus, but I'm not giving them anything lower than that because they did make some big time catches and plays like that overtime catch. Great catch. Ball was placed in a position where only he could get it. He got it, dragged the foot in, got the foot down. Like that's a hard catch. That is a very hard catch, and that's not normal. And we go and do it, but we drop the one that's relatively normal that everyone should be able to catch. So for that, and the total inconsistencies on the day, I have to give him a C plus.
No, I think that's fair. Let's move over to the defensive side of the ball. So start out with the defensive line. I think this was a B game from them. I thought the first half they didn't play that well. I think they kind of rallied in the second half and played well, especially Alex January. That guy really stuck out to me on the defensive line. Thought he played a really, really good football game. So I'm going to give him a solid B. Just a little bit. I mean, especially we got to remember Fluff Bothwell did not play in this football game. And Devon Booth almost ran for 100 yards in this game. So I'll give him a B. I thought they were solid.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with you here. I'm going to go B plus because you did get 7 sacks and they kind of took over that game in the overtime by themselves, just making play after play. So I'll go B plus, but I do agree. There was some rushing lanes out there for Mississippi State. It wasn't consistent, but it was, here and there they'd get a big 8-10 yard carry. That was a little bit frustrating. They kept him below 100 yards, but it was 99. So it was one less, but 9 tackles for loss, 7 sacks in the day. You'll give him credit for that. Of course, 2.5 go to Anthony Hill, but he lined up on the line of scrimmage for some of those. So in terms of D-line, I'm going to give him a B plus.
Yeah, it's hard for me to not, I want to give them an A just because of how good they were late, but I can't ignore the early part of the game and how poor they were. But ultimately Mississippi State was 1 for 4 on 4th downs. And that was defensive line, right? The defensive line is the reason why Texas only needed a field goal in the overtime period, because the defensive line stepped up and got it done. When you've got defensive tackles that are coming away with multiple sacks in a game, it's hard for me to say they had anything other than an A job. Now, I think if they played that way for all 4 quarters, it's a different game. So maybe a B plus, but they came back and they're the reason why Texas won this game, because the way that defensive line, the interior, the edges, they turned it up to a next level in crunch time and got stopped. So Texas could score 24 unanswered to come back and win that.
You're absolutely right. That's why I'm going B plus. I want to give them an A so bad, but I saw how tired and out of shape they were in the first half. That monkey. You ever seen somebody run a 4x4 and the last 100, it looked like they're, fighting for their life? That's what we looked like in the first half up front. We were just leaning on them, surviving. And once we settled down, caught our breath, figured out their tempo and the rotation, that's when our talent showed up and kicked in. Guys were all over the place consistently in the run and pass game. And in the run game, this week was actually hard on them because run and pass looks the same. They ran all of their run game came off of RPOs. So they don't know. They don't know whether to convert to pass rush or to stay in my gap and do my job. So they did a great job in the second half, adjusting and adapting and making critical plays. And to your point, Gerald, they're the reason our offense got the ball back with so much time, even though we were down 17 points. They were consistent in getting immediate stops and not letting Mississippi State get in third and manageable situations. And even when they did, we were getting big time stops, which made them go for it 4 times on 4th down. So I have to give those guys a B plus because they affected the run and pass game at a high level.
Next up, linebackers. And this one's kind of weird for me because I think Anthony Hill played an A game, but I think the other linebackers didn't have a very good football game, honestly. I think they got picked off in coverage. I think the run fits, especially, weren't that great in this game. man, this is hard. I don't, because I think Anthony Hill was an A, but the rest of them probably a D. So, man, I'll give him a C plus. I'll give him a C plus. That's what I'm going to give the linebackers.
Yeah, I think Leongo Lafau had a fine game. I thought Anthony Smith had a pretty rough one out there. The touchdown pass was on him. Granted, I mean, nobody saw, what was the dude's name? Something Sam, make a play out there. Sam West. I don't think nobody saw that one coming, but still got to cover that guy. I thought Leongo Lafau played well. Again, I think there's some things in coverage, but again, to what B-Ross said, passes look like runs look like passes. That's very difficult for linebackers, especially, when you're trying to get downhill to stuff the runs. You take one false step, you got a guy running right behind you. So it's a tough situation for them, but I really think Anthony Hill just at times was taking over this game, especially late. I mean, he was incredible to finish this game off. And even in the first half, like when the defense was, starting to unravel a little bit, it felt like Hill was just, keeping this team in it and making play after play. So I'm a really kind of lean towards the Anthony Hill side of things here. I'm gonna give him a B plus.
Yeah, I'm not as down as on the linebackers. I think because of the schematic things. I mean, there's a reason why this offense has persisted. It is very hard to defend, especially for linebackers. It puts linebackers in a ton of conflict. It's got a lot of bodies flying across. So you don't really know what to do. Ultimately, granted, they should probably know how to defend it better. But I think it's probably like a B- game. Especially Anthony Hill was so freaking good. It's hard for me to go any way lower just because that guy was superhuman tonight. He was flying all over the field. He was closing. He was violent. He was, B-Ross, I'm going to steal it from you. He was the hammer and not the nail, right? He was very much on the attack, on the offensive, and really taking it to the players. And you see that have an effect on an offense. You see that have an effect on the teams against them. They were looking for Anthony Hill and he was still making plays.
Absolutely. No, for sure. That's why I have to give him a B. Because Anthony Smith, on the touchdown that he gave up, that was 100% preventable. It wasn't a bad call. It was his eyes were in the wrong place. He was looking at a receiver and just missed the sign in. He's wide open. Leongo Lafau, he didn't play terrible. He just had a few moments of WTF in the run and pass game where they was tackling, getting off blocks, seeing the ball. He just had a couple of moments of just, what are you doing? What are you looking at? And then Anthony Hill, if that dude shows up for the rest of the year, and because our defense isn't going to have to play that offense, thank God, unless we play Tennessee in the playoffs, which I don't want to. We don't have to see a team like that who plays at that tempo and plays with those wide splits. And the fact that they were able to play the linebackers in a way they did, because they didn't play, he didn't play all the snaps. He played when he could and got on, got off, got back on the third down, made some critical plays. So it was impressive how those guys adjusted towards the second half in the fourth quarter to just settle down and just play football the way that they know how and the way that they're capable of. So with that, I have to give him a B, but Anthony Hill played lights out. That's what you want from your 5-star guys.
To an even bigger extent for the secondary, Jelani McDonald, I'm sorry I have to do this to you, brother, but you're the only one that showed up tonight. In the rest of the room, my God, you got cooked. Manny Muhammad, it's his worst game since probably Clemson of last year. Jalen Gilbo, I mean, what is there to say at this point? Xavier Filsaime, I think, showed some flashes, but other than that, didn't play that well. I'm going to give him a D plus. Jelani McDonald's the only reason this isn't that for me. They were horrendous. I thought they didn't tackle well. They got beat when they shouldn't have on multiple occasions deep down the field. It was not a good football game for the secondary at all. So I'm going to give him a D plus.
Yeah, this is tough because I feel like they didn't have a great scheme for this game early on in terms of, we kind of talked about it in the post game where we really expected this team to get after Shapen and blitz and blitz and blitz and, make him think twice about throws. But they really were, kind of hesitant to do that, run or get after four on the defensive line. And it just didn't really work. And, secondary, they just didn't make enough plays out there. Again, I think Jelani had a good game. You guys dog on Gilbo. Understandable. I can't defend him for this one. Manny Muhammad, rough game. So, yeah, it's tough. I mean, no Michael Taft. You have to take that into account a little bit. I'll go with a D plus. I feel like they could have played a lot better. And, frankly, Blake Shapen had a career day out there, almost 400 yards and 4 touchdowns, very efficient. Not what you want to see. I'll give it an F+. I'll give it F+.
Yeah, I mean, like 382 to Blake Shapen is a season high for them. They 324 the previous week. It's just they didn't force any turnovers. Like I don't know what outside of Jelani McDonald, 9 yards per attempt on a quarterback is way too high. Like it's just ridiculous, and they failed. F.
I'm going F. It was an F after like the second or third drive. I saw everything. I saw how this game was going to go. Like 381 yards, and I can count on one hand how many routes they actually ran. Just in terms of like complexity of the route tree.
Slants,
goes,
digs,
curl, pitch, dig. That's it. And then it wasn't the fact that we couldn't cover them because we decided to play 7 yards off. Okay, that's what you want to do. Cool. We have to tackle. That was a terrible tackling display, almost as bad as Florida, but not as bad because Jelani McDonald saved us so many times. Just like he played such a great game. Like I wish I could just take him out and grade him separately because he stepped up in a major way with Michael Taft out. Like, and that needs to be recognized and acknowledged. But everyone else did not show up. Like, that was the worst game as a collective that they have played this season.
Yeah, it's kind of weird because Jelani McDonald struggled probably the most at tackling in the Florida game, but he clearly learned and came back from it strong because he tackled very well in this football game. So I completely agree. I feel bad for having to give this unit a D+ because he played so well. But yeah, they deserve it. Next up, this one's going to be weird. Special teams grade. Ooh. I don't know what to do here because Mason Shipley did make a couple kicks, missed a 29-yard field goal. Ryan Niblett did score a return touchdown. So I'm going to give him a B+. I can't go to A because of the missed kick, but I'm going to give him a B+ because at the end of the day, you were still +4 in that area with the touchdown and then subtract the missed field goal. So yeah, I'll give him a B+.
Yep.
This one's tough because you also have Bo Meester shanked one too.
Yeah.
And he had a couple iffy punts as well. This is tough. I mean, the Shipley kick, you factor that into the final score. If we have that field goal, everything stays the same. Like B-Ross said, we win this game. Ryan Niblett, my God, if it's just a Niblett conversation, he might be the team's MVP. I mean, he's dragged his team to some wins these past 2 weeks. I mean, he's been incredible. And I love his confidence too. There's like 4 guys surrounding him. He's still taking that thing. He's like, I got to get points with this team. And I love that guy. He's really fighting out there. I would go, boy, this is tough. I'll go B because the Niblett thing carries it. If you take out the Niblett touchdown, it's probably like a D+, but you added the Niblett touchdown. So yeah, I'll go B+.
Yeah, I think it's probably I'll go B- on this one, or maybe C+. It just like Ryan Niblett floats the average. Like when you're talking about a group project, Ryan Niblett did all the work and everybody else just showed up. Like that's really what this grade is. Like Bo Meester was fine. It's probably his worst game in Austin. Like he was not as good as he normally is. Yep. And he's been a weapon for Texas this year. Obviously Shipley missing from 29, missing from inside 30 feels inexcusable at this point. So like, again, I think Ryan Niblett did all the work in this group project and they got a C.
Yeah. Flashbacks to Bert Auburn.
I'm going to go A because I think y'all are forgetting we blocked the kick.
Oh, that is true. Yeah. That doesn't change.
That game was so long.
But like that was, and like because it happened so early and everything else that happened, like it goes like, and the defense is part of special teams technically. A block kicked. Granted, we missed the field goal. We had one block that he still made that ended up being a penalty. And then Ryan Niblett, I told you, as a punt returner, you need to be a little off. Just in like you float on crazy, and the coach is like, no, yes. And to your point, Josh, when he caught it, it's like 4 guys. He just caught it like whatever. Then the next one, he feels it, scores. It's just that's the mindset you need. And but again, we weren't penalized on any returns, in any phase of the entire day. Those units did not get penalized. Not like last week at Kentucky when we had 3 false starts on one attempt of a punt. I just think they played the cleanest of the games. I mean, even with the miss, he did make another field goal from longer. But all things being included, having a block kick and a punt return for a touchdown, like statistics show on average, like you win that game 90% of the time. You block a kick, you return a touchdown, 90% win rate. Granted, it didn't go the way we wanted to, but the end result was the same. And I think special teams played a huge part of that.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because I did forget. Like that game literally was 3 games in one to me. I watched 3 different football teams play. That was so good.
It's a great way to put it.
That's fair.
Again, guys, please hit that like button. Please subscribe down below. We are here every Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern time and Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern time for the live shows. And after every game, win, lose, no matter the result, we are here breaking it down for you. We will be here next week versus Vanderbilt. So please hit that like button. Please subscribe down below. And as always, hook 'em.
Hook 'em.
College football is even more exciting when you've got some action on the line, and the games are even better when you're cashing in. And the Voice of College Football is the place to be to get the greatest value. Start with my picks. 75% against the money line, 58% against the spread, and I've got a 40-plus year track record. 11-0 in the college football playoff for me last year against the money line, 8-3 against the spread. And I'm just the warm-up act. Steve Merrill of Wager Talk is our ace in the hole, show stopper. 7 years with the Voice of College Football, over 30 years in the industry. Steve gives us analysis on all the big games, but you can't miss Steve's weekly under-the-radar pick. 28-12 against the spread the last 3 years. You also get picks from some of our top analysts here at the Voice of College Football, including Corey Bratta, Matt Zemek, and Steve Dace. Check out those numbers. Become a YouTube or Patreon member for just $99 per month. Go to the main channel on YouTube, click join, and then select a betting tier. Do the same thing on Patreon. Make 2025 a winner now.